Hey, Vinyl Community, Jeff here, and we got a special show. A special show, act like I'm on a TV show. Special video today. Um, I recently took a little trip, and I should have, if it wasn't so spur of the moment, so chaotic timing, I should have filmed something while I was there, but I didn't. So anyway, we're going to do this little Zoom call, and I'm here with a special guest that I met up with. So I went to Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, I know that people, I'm like, who do I know in Charlotte, North Carolina? Because I know people out there in the VC from Charlotte. And the first one I thought about was Michael, and he's here with us tonight. And so I said, hey, are you available? And yeah. And so, yeah. So we worked it out to get together, but my time went crazy. And next thing I know, we've got like an hour before the record store closes. And I'm like, I'll meet you there. And so it's kind of rushed, and I rushed in, and we grab some stuff. And so we're going to talk about that and show that tonight. So everybody, if you're not, Michael's here. I'm going to have a link below to his channel, and you better go subscribe because he's got a lot of the same tastes as I do. And you're going to find that he's got a lot of records, actually more than me. And so he's got some great stuff. So Michael, welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing? It was glad to meet you in Charlotte. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was I mean, that's only the second time that I've actually went out of town and hooked up with somebody else in the VC. So I see people do it all the time, and I thought that'd be fun to do. And so I don't travel much, but it was great. I'm like, I got to find somebody that I can hook up with. So, and then
Yeah,
we went down.
I think I watched your video when you went to Raleigh, and I was like, that's pretty close. Maybe if he comes to Charlotte, so I think I messaged you to say, hey, if you ever do, give me a call or message me.
But anyway, yeah, so it was a spur of the moment trip. We went down on Friday and got there early in the day, had to do some business. By the time we got done with that, it was 5 o'clock or 5:30. And I'm like, so Michael, what time does the record store close? He's like 7. I'm like, how am I gonna do records in an hour? But anyway, so he took me to a place. And I'll let him talk about the place because he'll have a little more details. But yeah, I mean, when I walked in, it was pretty much, I don't think they had anything but records, right? He didn't have CDs there, did he?
He has a small section of CDs, but yeah, it's not very big. And he has some cassettes on the wall too. But okay. Yeah, the place
I wasn't even looking at those.
To meet you at was a record store that I go to every Friday night. It's actually kind of like my small hangout spot. It's called Recyclable Records. It's a bit north of Charlotte. It's in Kannapolis, North Carolina. And he's kind of the only store in that particular area. There's not very many stores that are less than 30 minutes from that particular store. At least not that doesn't have as much stuff as he does. And he's a metal guy himself. So he knows what he's doing with the metal stuff. So when he gets it in, he knows what he's got. He prices it, I think, pretty fairly. And him and his wife run the shop. It's a kind of a family-owned business, and they're really, really great people. Ronnie and Beth both work there or own the place, Recyclable Records in Kannapolis. So if anybody ever is in the area, definitely check them out. It's a really good store.
Yeah, because I know when we were looking, the business I had to do was down in south of Charlotte, and I'm like, and you told me you were up there, and so when I got a hotel for that night, I'm like, we're going up there. And I got the hotel literally like 3 miles from the record store because we only had to do the business and get out of there. We didn't have to be there. But when I was looking at other stores, they were all on the other side of Charlotte. I'm like, I don't want to go back that way. So, but yeah, so I really appreciate that because I have 4 record stores in my area that I would go to on a regular basis, 3 on a regular, 1 every so often. They all have metal, but they don't have anything. They don't specialize in that. The owners just have it. They don't know a lot about it. Probably that was the one thing when I went in there, and he had a decent sized section, but the thing was, it looks like he intentionally bought metal. Whereas I think the stores I go to, they just have metal. They've got Iron Maiden and Ozzy and stuff, but High Roller Records, no. Music on vinyl, no. You're not going to find any of that stuff in any of my local stores, most likely. One store maybe. They have a lot of sludge metal, death metal, and regular metal, and they may get some of those, but it's rare. So yeah, when I went into the store, I was bombarded with all the stuff that I usually have to get online. And yeah, it was, I could have easily blown this whole year's paycheck. It was so many things that I would have gotten, but, and we're going to show that here. So, but yeah, and as we were talking about earlier, that was the one thing that I appreciated the most about the visit, not so much buying records, but the conversation. We stood in that shop for practically an hour. We kept him there for at least a half an hour past closing.
Yeah.
And I'm in the presence of you and him, and we're talking metal, and we know what we're talking about. Whereas I could talk to the store owners around here, which they know me, but I don't think I could have that kind of conversation with them. I don't think they would know about so-and-so who sang with so-and-so in the 80s. And I mean, we were just going through, hey, the new album by so-and-so or the new reissue by so-and-so. Oh yeah, I remember that album from 1992, blah, blah, blah. So
Right.
that
Yeah,
was,
Ronnie's a very knowledgeable guy, and I had gone in there a few times, and I was, you're pretty shy the first few times you go in there, just buying records. But then something came up, and we just sparked up a conversation, and we've kind of been friends now for ever since then, for probably close to a year or more now. And I like I said, I go up there pretty much every Friday. So if anybody is in the area on a Friday, especially a Friday night, you might just see me hanging out there until closing. Just like you said, talking, having that conversation. It's really fun, because like in the VC, especially, I think the reason why we do these videos is we want to reach out and talk to people. We want people to reach out to us. And, so it's really cool to have at least one local guy that I can hang out with for an hour or two, before the weekend starts, to have that conversation with. It's pretty cool in person.
I think if I lived in the area, I'd probably be down there with you Friday night too. I mean, yeah, because I don't have anybody around here that I've talked to like that. And like you said, I do the videos just to get it off the brain. It's like me talking to the world, whether they listen or not. This is the knowledge, maybe useless knowledge to a lot of people, that I have on my brain, and I'm sharing it. Whether I have a brain fart and say the wrong thing, whatever, it's therapy. I'm getting it out there because I don't really have anybody locally to do that. You have somebody locally, it'd be cool. I would definitely hang out there. So, but anyway, so I show up, and Michael's already there, and he's got a stack of records. He didn't have a big stack, but so he's showing me around, and I'm flipping, and I'm, I already had to spend money to go there unexpectedly, hotel room, everything. I'm like, I really can't spend any money. Oh, here's one for $5. Oh, I can get this $5 record, but I can't really. Oh, look, there's another one for $5. Oh, and then by the time the night was over, I'm like, I guess I'll get this one for $30, and I'll get this one for $20. So there was just too much. I mean, I put back more than I bought for sure, but there was a lot of good stuff there that I'd have to buy online with shipping and everything. And so it was definitely a fun time for the hour and a half that I was there. I really wish we could have, if it wasn't so dark, we could have done some videos or something. But anyway, here we are now. So I guess we'll just show what we got, I guess. And I'll show you what Michael did to me and how he made me buy these records. Right, honey? He made me do it. So
I'll take the blame.
Yeah.
Since I'm a couple 100 miles away, or at least 100 or so.
I'm going to actually put these in order of how I think I decided to buy them. That way it's almost like story time. Yeah. So first off, I started with the easy stuff. I grabbed some of the $5, like I said, some of the things, and I picked up the Q5 for $5. It might have even been, I don't know, $5 or $6. It was one of the cheap ones. And I got the first Q5, which I enjoy. I have this on CD, but I thought, let's grab it on vinyl. And even though I knew it was a little different style, I did listen to it again this week, and I'm like, it's a little more AOR than I remember, but cool stuff. I'm not going to waste a lot of time here, but this is one that I bought that was most people don't know about, and you may have seen me show it a couple years ago. Maybe not. It's a band called What If. And it was only like, I think this one was like $3 or $4 because nobody really, it was done. I realized, no, this was under heavy metal. This is why I found this. This was not a heavy metal album. I'm even lucky that I found this because I didn't get a chance to look in the store under the regular rock stuff. We kind of glanced at a little bit of it, but this is not a metal album. It's definitely more of a synth, keyboard heavy pop. For the most part, anybody who knows anything about this already knows it's got, what's his name? Tommy Funderburk, something. How do you pronounce his name? Tommy Funderburk. Yeah. He's done a lot of vocals, a lot of background vocals, a lot of stuff with a lot of big name bands. I can't remember who they were, but I'm talking like AOR bands. But he also did a band called The Front, had one album out, and then I think it's the same guys changed the name to What If, and they did this. The reason I bought this is because I actually already have a copy, and it's actually still in shrink, but it's open. And I bought it a while ago on Discogs. And the reason I rebought it is because you may or may not be able to see it, but it's got, see a big crack, all right? It's got a big crack right there. This whole piece right here is ready to break off. And there's a crack right there. So for the first third of the track is pop, pop, pop. And it's, I don't play that first track. So, and when he had this one marked down to like I said, it was like $3 or $3.99. And it's in great condition. And it's a gold stamp promo, which I noticed later. Got the gold stamp promo in there. I'm like, yeah. So I grabbed that.
I like those.
Moving on.
You know, if it's a gold stamp, that it was probably one of the first ones off the press that they started sending out right away. That's at least what I think, and I hope. So I like those promos.
That's the same thing I've heard. The other thing that's nice about gold stamp promos is, depends on the band, of course, these records are sent to radio stations. Chances are that never got played. It doesn't look like it was played. A band of smaller name like that, they probably just put it in the pile. I don't think it ever got played because it would not be something on the radio. So a lot of gold stamps never get played. They just get tossed on the side. So then as I went going, I thought, okay, well, look, I got to buy at least something, in the regular range. So I picked up Oz, the Force Commandments. This came out a handful of years ago. I have it digitally. Oz was back in the 80s. They did some albums. They're from Finland. We said, that's what we decided. I think, yeah. Right. And then they came back, like in the past 10 years, they've come back, and this is their most recent album, but even this one's probably 4 or 5 years old now. So it's a comeback album. They might have had one before this, I think. Maybe this is a second one comeback. I can't remember, but I knew I had this digitally. I knew it was decent enough to have. It is a Massacre Records, only 500 made. It's number 182 of 500. I thought, $20. It looked almost brand new. I couldn't pass this up just because it's rare and it's hard to find now because it is a handful of years old. So grab that. It's great stuff. Just traditional metal, still got kind of a Euro metal flair to it, just vocal wise. And then I think I was pretty much done. That was. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And then I started glancing in the regular rock section. Michael's like, hey, look at the rock stuff. Thanks, Michael. And this caught my eye. I immediately went over and saw the second Captain Beyond. And I'm like, I've had this on my wish list for a long time. I've seen it. It's usually pricey. And I just had to get it. So I grabbed that. It was under $20. I think it was like it right at 20, and it was in good condition. So I grabbed that. If you don't know this album, I'm not gonna tell you much about it, but you want to go out and get it. What's the singer's name? He was the original singer for Deep Purple, and then he went on to do Captain Beyond. And he did 1 and 2 albums with them and then moved on. So it's just great classic rock from like 1973, I think. Excuse me. Then we're looking, and this was on the front of the pop, near the pop rock section. And we definitely can blame Michael for this one because he's like, oh, you don't have this. You should buy this. The Nick Gilder album.
Yes. That's a great record.
Yeah, I was familiar with Hot Shot in the City, which I admit, growing up as a kid, there's a handful of songs that are ingrained in my head from on the radio back in those days that have certain significant moments in my life connected to them. Hot Shot in the City is one of them. Knock on Wood by Anita, what's her name? Reminiscing. These are the songs that as a kid, before I got into rock and roll, these were songs that were on my playlist. So I'm like, I haven't heard anything else by him. He's like, oh, those Hot Child in the City is probably not even the best song on the album. So, and it was still sealed. I have taken the shrink off. I did see Michael. I took the shrink off.
Yep. I have a no shrink policy in my collection. I pull that shrink right off.
I pulled it off. I kept the hype sticker. I got it in there. Yep. So there you go. Brand new, still sealed, and it was like $10. So I went ahead and grabbed that. Then we're over there in line and we're talking. We're just talking. And then I realized, they got a what they called Christian and Christmas. So I started looking through that. I saw Whiteheart. I saw some other bands that already have. And I just started flipping through there and I found Kenny Marks. This album is one of the only Kenny Marks albums I had back in the 80s. And it's the only one I didn't have on vinyl because every time I find a Kenny Marks album in the store, it's not this one. And he had it there for like I don't know, it was like $5. And it used to belong to Ellen Little, who nicely put her
I
name right
got it.
there.
I actually like that when I find somebody's name, as long as it's not like really big. I'm like, oh, this was Ellen's record. That's great. I'm so glad she claimed it.
Yeah, she wrote it on the label there too, but
She probably had sisters or a brother who got into her album, so she had to write her name on her own stuff.
it's funny that the price sticker was over that. I didn't see that till I got home. But I am not, it would not be a deal breaker. I don't mind, I don't play the cover. I don't mind the cover
Right.
being messed up. The album was in like pristine condition, so I was glad. So then
Now
we're
let's take
pretty
care of
much,
it.
yeah, we're pretty much, ready to check out at that point. Now I've got a lot of things in my mind of albums that I put back, a lot of which are some of which I kind of regret now. But at the last minute, Michael didn't even see me go back and get it because we were all talking, and I ran back and had to grab this. I know it's an obscure band. You may or may not know anything about Jack Starr, but Jack Starr, I've got a lot of stuff by him. He's a New York guitar player. He's played in. He was an original guitar player in Virgin Steel for the first few albums. He's done a lot of Jack Starr's Burning Star. He did an album with Rhett Forrester, which is absolutely one of my favorites albums. And he just has a new album that just came out this year, if it's even out. I've seen a video for it, and a live album, and some other stuff. This is one that this is not too long ago. I can't remember the exact, when was the year? Probably in the past 10 years. Yeah, I would think normally it says, but anyway, High Roller Records tend to be expensive. It wasn't sealed, so it was a used record, but it was in pristine condition. It was, it's on orange, and there's only, I think, 300 made. So it is very limited. And for the price, I'm like, I can't pass that up. I couldn't do it. The double record set. And I'm like, I can't pass that up. So I did go back and get this, which definitely put me over my budget, but oh well, vacation and budgets go right out the window. So that was great. And there were so many other ones like that. He had a lot of music on vinyl, a lot of High Roller Records, lots of stuff that I really could have came out of there with. But I bought stuff that I thought was going to be harder to find online than it would be, than some of the other ones, which are newer releases and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard when you see those records in front of you. Online, it's just like almost like it's not real. But when you see it there and it's in your hands, and you're like, I can take this home and I can play it in an hour. But not where you had to drive several hours home.
Yeah.
If I bought that, I'm like, in 30 minutes I could be playing this at home. It's really hard to pass stuff up when you have that right in front of you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially some of these ones that have been out for a little longer, and that they're probably harder to find online now for a decent price. That's a great store you got there. I wish that the stores I had in my area would stock that level of music. They get random stuff, and they get the higher name, the Iron Maidens and stuff. They get the regular big name bands, but I don't really see a lot of music on vinyl or High Roller unless people sell it used, and it's rare to find that kind of used quality. Material.
It's really the used, because like I know there's a bigger store in Charlotte called Lunchbox Records. He has a ton of stuff, but his metal section is like 90% used or new. So he gets all the, like, a lot of new stuff and a lot of weird new stuff. He doesn't really get a ton of the High Roller stuff though, a lot of the imports, but he gets all the regular releases. But the used section, it's really random. I can go in there one day and hit the jackpot, but then I can go in there every week for several months and get nothing. So, but he has a big section of indie rock and punk and stuff like that. So he's big on that side. But that store is incredibly busy too. But I really like the Kannapolis Recyclable Records. It's a small store. Like you said, he doesn't specialize in metal, but he knows metal. So when he gets it, he knows what he's got, and he'll pay a little bit extra for people to stock that stuff. So, he can have it in his store and they don't go somewhere else and sell it. So yeah, it's a really nice little store.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the titles, were some of it was all bigger name bands, but I don't see bigger name bands in my mind and in your mind and in his mind,
Right.
But not the stuff that I see much at my local stores. So, his metal section was what, like maybe 4 racks of 4 tall. The rest of the store, probably the other 75% of the store was, regular stuff. So didn't want to
Yeah.
give the impression it was a metal store, but he definitely knew his metal. He had a good selection. I could have went broke in there, and it was a lot of good stuff. And yeah, it was a good time, but it's nice. Like I say, I had 1 spare hour basically to go get this done, and I think it was a pretty good score for that. And got to meet up with Michael for a brief amount of time. We've done a lot of communications online, but it's always neat to go meet somebody on the road somewhere. So
Yeah, it was fun. I was glad that you hit me up, and I was glad I was able to show you the store. And yeah, next time you come through, we'll hit some different stores this time.
yeah, when
Or
I
maybe
walked in,
back. Pick up what you didn't get.
yeah, it'll probably be gone by the time I get back. But
There'll be
I have
all
things-
kinds of new stuff there.
yeah. It was kind of weird because almost every one of your videos, you look like you do now. You're wearing a hat, and when I walked in, you weren't. I'm like, is that really him?
Yeah, I don't know
had to
why.
pitch you
The
from the head
reason I don't like the way I look without a hat in the videos. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because even like I have a friend here. What a friend? He plays in a band with me, and he always wears a hat. And I've never seen him without a hat. And then the other day, somebody posted a picture of a band he played in before, like 5, 6 years ago. And I had to look. Is that him? He didn't have a hat on.
Oh, he didn't.
I said, I didn't know that's him. I didn't know he had hair. So it's just weird when you see people that they're always that way. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So at first when I walked in, I'm like, well, there wasn't anybody else really there. So well, one other guy. So it wasn't like I had too many to choose from, but it was like, yeah. But yeah, it would have been cool. I wish we could have got there, had more time to spend there. It was kind of a rushed trip, and I'm just glad it's over. I mean, to get back home and everything, but 5+ hours down, 5+ hours back the next day. It was not the most thrilling time, but at least the high spot was getting some records. So
That's awesome.
which I think are pretty much the first records I actually bought in the year 2023.
Yeah,
Most of
I
the ones
think it was. I might have bought my first records that day too. I think it was what, a week ago now, so it was still, yeah. It might have been my first records from 23 as well.
because I think most everything that I've been showing for the past couple of weeks was ordered, before the end of the year, except maybe that Helix album that I showed. I think that might have been ordered in the past week too. So, but this was the first time I went to a store and came out with records. So,
Right.
but I don't think I've really bought. I haven't bought anything on Amazon since December. So anyway, great stuff. Yeah. So I guess that's about it. And like I said, make sure you check out his channel. I have a link below. Fairly new. You've been doing it less than a year, right? Like,
Oh, way less than a year, probably 6 months or so. And
okay.
I started out. Yeah, I mean, if you watch my early videos, I'm incredibly quiet, and now I talk a little bit more. I'm a little bit faster, and I don't know. It's definitely, you definitely improve if you keep doing it. So my videos are a lot different from what they were in the beginning, just like probably everybody.
Yeah. I started in 2018, so we're pushing 4.5 years. I'm sure if I went back, I'd probably cringe at some of my early stuff. But anyway, so yeah, definitely check out his channel. He's needs some subscribers and everything, and you'll enjoy the stuff he's got. Look behind him; he's got all those records, and so thousands and thousands of records.
Yeah, only 2 of those thousands, but yeah, 2,000.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I will cut this video here. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. It's great to, it would have been cool. We could have done one in person, but hey, this is close enough. And everybody check out his channel. And we'll be back later with other new things we find. Until then, rock on and rock on.